Okay, here's an interesting one that comes up from time to time. Here I just have, just as an example, I've got a basic bunch of walls per story: basement, first floor, second floor, third floor, all the way up. I want to drop elevations onto an elevation sheet. This is the case for whether you're doing elevations, interior elevations, details, whatever. What you may find is that when you drag and drop multiple views like this, it will sometimes end up, if I look here, before I just had SD7 as elevations, it dumped them all onto separate sheets. That may be what you want. Maybe you want to have a little bit more control over these drawing frames, put them onto one sheet and sort of puzzle piece them together. You don't want it to automatically generate and place these elevations. As you can see, it's dumping them up in the upper left corner anyway, which is probably not where you want them. So how do we get this, first of all, to place where I want on the sheet and have a little bit of control over whether or not it's generating new sheets or not? So we'll just go ahead and delete those sheets back out. We'll delete that view off of that sheet. If I click on here and go to the master layout settings, you could also go to the master layouts here, figure out which one it is, and track that down. But if I go to the master layout settings of this layout, one way or another I get there, I have the ability to auto-arrange drawings or align and assign drawings to a grid. Usually the grid is only used for details in my experience. I've seen it used for wall sections and a few other things. If you want to set up a grid, you can do that. You can actually build it out and set it up so that things lay out on the grid as well. But here I just want to deal with the auto arrangement when you either right click and place drawings, drag and drop drawings, use the organizer to place drawings, however you get the view onto the layout as a drawing. This is where you're going to control how that's set up. You go to set up an arrangement, and here I can say from left to right or top to bottom. You can say that they're spaced out this wide. You can say that the edge is aligned from here outward. So you could set this up so that you have different gaps and different sizes. The main thing that you want to see here is if you don't want those layouts coming up automatically, you want to uncheck this create new layout. Now that's only going to change the setting for this master layout. So if you had, say, a detail layout, an elevation layout, various different schematic design versus construction document, if you're using different master layouts for your layout book and you want that same interaction where it's not generating layouts automatically as you drag and drop, you have to uncheck this create new layout when the layout is full. Unfortunately, there is no, you can set that distance from the left margin, but as you saw, it was tucked up into that left upper left corner. There's no like arrange by center of drawing option. So if that's the case, if we want to center it up, you could technically go to, let me find my drawing tool here, go to the drawing settings, and you could say the default for this is this anchor point. You could say fit to frame or manually resize. And then additionally, another part of this is the view settings here, where you can say zoom to current, various fit to window. All of that works and comes into play as well. There is additionally, under your work environment settings, and excuse me for bumbling through it here, but there is a setting for how views will open. I believe is it here? Somewhere in here there's like how they open by default when you launch them. When placing model view onto layouts, each adjusted frame to show only the zoomed area of the model. So that is another factor. So it will crop down because typically your interior elevations, your sections, etc., may have stuff that's outside of the drawing frame. Especially with floor plans, you're going to have just stuff off to the side or outside of the drawing frame. So if this is checked in your work environment, the layout will be cropped to the zoomed view that it was saved at. And because the zoomed view here is set to fit to window or current zoom, that's how it's going to place on the layout. So when I drag and drop using that view setting in conjunction with the model or the work environment settings, now these are going to place always cropped zoom to fit. So if there were more content off to the side, it's going to stretch to that. Now I have these onto one layout and I can move and configure them accordingly. They're not automatically generating new layouts. From here I can hold down my Option key and drag a new layout, and then delete the two that I don't need from this one and the two that I don't need from this one, for example. So you have a little bit more control over how your views are placed onto the layouts as drawings by making sure that in your master layout settings, the auto arrange is not set to create new layouts. Anyway, I hope there's a few tips in there that you can use in your workflow.